Hey TikTok, it's your girl Rosie. I am back with another story time. As y'all know, my platform is a platform where I tell you guys stories about witchcraft. I tell you guys about the consequences that come with it, but I also highlight the mercy, the grace, and the love of God. Today's story time is going to be a reminder to you guys on why you shouldn't go to the other side, meaning the dark world, to try and attain your goals or your dreams, because you might just end up paying a price, and the price might just be your life or your soul. Story time. I hate giving names because I end up confusing myself and y'all, but I'm gonna have to. There's this lady, we're gonna call her Ashley. I always go to Ashley because it's very easy to remember. Ashley gets married. When she gets married, she can't seem to conceive, and she's tried her best, waited years and years and years to the point where she becomes the laughing stock of her friends, the village. Everybody just starts making fun of her, especially her in laws. So, what she decides to do, like they always do, which is so silly, she decides to go to see a witch. When she gets there, she tells the witch her problem. The witch decides, hey, I got you. All you got to do is pay some money, and then you need to come back here at a certain time. There's some stuff I need to do, some baths you need to take, and you'll be pregnant in no time. Ashley does exactly that, and she tells Ashley in the next couple months you're gonna find out that you're pregnant. Ashley kind of didn't believe it, but she was like, "Why not? At this point, I have nothing else to lose." She didn't even go to the creator of the creator, God. You went to, anyways. Let me get to the point. The story's kind of long, but I'm gonna have to break it down because I don't want to be here all day. But anyway, so a couple of months down the line, the witch doctor did tell her, once you find out you're pregnant, she said, literally on your eighth month of your pregnancy, you need to come back here. The witch doctor was sure Ashley was gonna be pregnant. Ashley's like, all right, cool, I'll come back. So a couple months down the line, Ashley finds out she's pregnant. She's super excited. You know, her in-laws are finally treating her with love and respect. And on her eighth month, she goes to go see that witch doctor, like the witch doctor told her. She's super excited. The witch doctor is hyping her up. And the witch doctor was like, here's some rules that you need to follow. And Ashley's like, rules? She's like, yep, you need to follow these rules exactly how I tell you. She tells Ashley that the minute that the baby is born, she needs to bring, it shouldn't go past 3 days before Ashley brings that baby to the witch doctor. So she does her thing. And then also, the minute that the baby turns 3 years old, Ashley needs to bring her back. Also, when the baby turns 7, and I can't remember the other year, I think it was like the teen, I think like the 15. It was either 15. Anyways, like I said, the witch doctor told her the baby needs to be here no later than 3 days old. Her 3 year old, when she turns three, when the baby turns 7, and I want to say it's either 14 or 15, like her teens. Ashley's like, all right, cool. Ashley gives birth. And the second day the baby is in the world, Ashley decides to take her to the witch doctor. The witch doctor tells Ashley to go ahead and go home, that she'll come back later on that evening and she's going to pick her baby up. Ashley, being very terrified, decides, all right, I'm going to do that. But Ashley also knows that the minute she goes home without her baby, that her husband was probably going to kick her behind. So Ashley goes to hang out with her friends, and her friends are questioning where her baby is. She tells her friend, I'm guessing that they're with their family. I don't know. But anyways, later on that evening, Ashley goes back to pick up the baby. She asks the witch doctor, hey, what did you do with the baby? The witch doctor, of course, I'm not, y'all need to stop going to see witch doctors. Y'all gotta stop. Y'all got to stop. The consequences y'all are bringing y'all's lives is crazy. These psychics, these witches, these warlocks y'all are looking out for, are looking at, or calling upon y'all, calling upon. I mean, I don't know what else I gotta say. Y'all, my videos is for this. Sorry, y'all. I'm just a little bit irritated and I'm a little tired, so I'm gonna get to the point. Anyway, so the witch doctor tells her, oh, it was just a spell of protection. Don't worry about it. I got you. Your baby's all cleared. Make sure you bring your baby when your baby turns 3. Ashley claims that the baby wasn't like a normal baby. And you ask what a normal baby is. Even the baby's cry didn't sound normal. It almost sounded like a mixture of a baby and a cat. Another reason why I don't care for cats. Just really weird things. Another thing is that the baby's room was always cold. The baby would always look up in the sky, or not sky, in the air, like always giggling and laughing at something that nobody else could see. And also at a young age, the baby wasn't really affectionate. And Ashley just felt as though that she made the biggest mistake going to see this witch doctor. She didn't have the same love and affection that she thought she would with a child. But she just knew that this child was different from such a young age. The minute the baby turns 3 years old, Ashley takes the baby to go see this witch doctor. The same thing. The witch doctor's like, go ahead and go on about your day. I'll see you in the evening. The witch doctor does her 1, 2, 3. As y'all know, I never ask questions because number one, I am a Christian, and number two, I will never be crazy enough. I've already had coffee and I need more. I would never be crazy enough to tell you guys that. Ashley comes. So Ashley comes back, and at this point, the little girl's going to daycare, and Ashley just knows that something isn't right with her daughter. As far as we're gonna call her daughter Lola, I already said that. All right. Anyways, Lola. Her child Lola was mean. We're talking about just a mean kid. Like, she thrived off of other people's fear and pain. If she knew like another child's fear was like, let's say, like some sort of bug, she would purposely pick up that bug and give it to them. Like, she was just a mean child. Every week she's getting kicked out of school for something. And because they had money and they were in a country where money rules everything, the kid was able to always come back. But that kid was so mean and vicious. And it just, no matter what the parents did, things just didn't get any better. Now, she's getting older, still mean, still getting kicked out. You know, neighborhood kids are not allowed to play with her because the parents are like, this kid is a menace to society. They have diagnosed her with ADHD. Things are getting worse. Anyways, a couple months before her 7th birthday, Ashley decides that she's not going to take her daughter to go see that witch doctor because, as I told you in the beginning, she's supposed to bring that child to the witch doctor 3 days when she enters the world. No past 3 days. Also, when she's 3, when she's 7, and in her teens. I want to say they said it was like 14 or 15. But Ashley decides this time, no, I'm not going to do that, because in her mind, she feels as though why her daughter is acting like this is because of whatever this witch is doing when she takes her to go spend the day with her. So Ashley refuses to do it. And the moment when that day, when her 7th day passed and she never showed up, the witch doctor got in contact with her, was like, hey, you need to bring her to me. And Ashley's like, no. Ashley's like, I'm not doing that. And the witch doctor's like, what do you mean you're not doing that? She's like, I'm absolutely not doing that. She said, I feel as though like my daughter, whoever this person isn't my kid. She said, this is a real live. And the witch is like, what are you talking about? She's telling the witch what's going on. And the witch is like, no, you just don't know how to deal with her energy, yada, yada, yada. Anyways, Ashley's like, I'm not bringing her. The witch is like, you have no choice. If you don't bring her, bad things are going to happen. But Ashley's like, I'll take that. Ashley doesn't bring the child. A couple of days later, the witch doctor sends her a message. Hey, please bring your child. Ashley refuses. Ashley blocks her. Ashley cuts all contact with her. A couple months, I mentioned, Ashley decides to block that lady. And from that moment, Ashley's life went down the drain. As in, like, Ashley became tormented. She was seeing things, hearing things, and she was the only one in her household that was dealing with this type of stuff. As in, like, she would hear people calling her name in the middle of the night. She would see spirits walking in and out of her house in the middle of the night. She would try to tell her husband, but her husband was starting to think that maybe his wife was like losing her mind. She would go check on her daughter. Her daughter would be asleep, but her daughter's room temperature was always off, always cold. And Ashley would always tell her mom that when she walked in her daughter's room, she always felt like her daughter, like she was being watched, like the mother was in a place where she's not supposed to be at. You know, when you go to like a haunted place you walk in that place and you're like, this is not, I'm not supposed to be here. That's how her mom felt like. That's how Ashley felt like. Again, things keep getting worse. They're taking her to doctors, Lola, the little girl, because mentally the kid is, I mean, you name it. This kid is 7 years old, wrecking her parents' cars, like getting in the car, driving it, wrecking it, just a menace, y'all. But it got so bad that Ashley had a mental breakdown, cried to her mom, and told her mom that, like, this child is not my child. The Bible says that, people perish because they lack knowledge, but also I think because we lack honesty. Ashley's mom wasn't she was more like a lukewarm Christian. She was a Catholic. So Ashley, I guess Ashley didn't trust her mom. I don't know if maybe she was fearful, but she didn't tell the mom the whole truth. All she told her mom was like, I don't know what's in my child, but that kid, there's a spirit in there that's not supposed to be there. And she tells her mom also that my child is going to be the reason that I'm not here. And Ashley kept having dreams where her daughter Lola was coming into her room and taking her out. And it was always the same dream where her daughter is wearing this white gown and behind her is like a bunch of like demons and spirits, and they're all wearing like these capes, and like the mother can't see these demons face, but she can just see that they're demons, and they're whispering something in the little girl's ear, and the little girl walks to the mom and just starts her with this demonic smile. And it's the same smile that Ashley said, was telling her mom, said that like when they would go to like, and that same smile is a smile that her mother, Ashley, has seen a million times. For example, the mom says that when they would go to funerals, you know how all of us have this type of like couth, like a class where, in funerals, you don't go in someone's casket and you're all like in their face, smiling, touching them. Like her daughter was very intrigued with stuff like that. And she always had that demonic, while everybody's bawling, crying when Ashley's dad died. So the daughter's grandfather, everybody's bawling. This little girl is in the corner, like she's enjoying it. It's a party for her. Again, mother's going through her stuff, and her mother's mental is going, and her mother is telling the husband, Ashley's telling her husband, I don't think I'm going to be here for long. I don't think I'm going to be here for long. And she started developing a spirit of fear. And a spirit of fear is a real thing. It is. The Bible says that God does not give you a spirit of fear. Anytime you're very fearful, it is the enemy. You need to start praying. And literally, y'all, a year later, mother's going through all this. One day, husband gets up, goes to work. Ashley's still in bed with the daughter, and the daughter goes running outside to the neighbors. The neighbor come back in the house. Ashley's gone. And when they called the dad came in. They took her to the hospital. She's already cold at this time. The doctors for the longest were trying to figure out what's wrong with her, how like what happened. Now granted, the hospital is not like an American hospital. When they finally figured it out, so quote unquote, it was like a blood clot in her brain. But because of the mental problem she was having, her husband made sure that they did like checkups of her brain, and like not to like a couple months before that, so that blood clot out of nowhere, and I know that blood clots can come out of nowhere, it was just something that was very unexpected. But what was the most odd thing for the husband was the position, the way the wife was, the way they found her in that bed. Like her eyes were wide open, like she saw something before she left this world. At the funeral, everybody's bawling, everybody's crying their eyes out, the husband as well. What is Lola doing? Lola is smiling, has this joy of seeing people in pain. Things get so bad between Lola and the dad that Ashley's mom decides to move in, because Ashley's mom also, like I mentioned, Ashley's mom decides to move in. Now, granted, Lola's dad didn't really see the spiritual side of things, because I honestly think that Lola's dad wasn't the one that went to the witch doctor, wasn't the one that sought help from the dark world. The mom was, and that's why she paid the price. But that didn't change the fact that Lola still was a menace to society and her dad. So Ashley's mom moves in, and things just keep getting worse to the point where, like, they decide that they're going to take her to a boarding school. They take her to a boarding school to a different country, a Christian school, very expensive. I don't even want to name the country. I don't want to name the school. I don't want to name none of this. But they take her to a boarding school, and this girl at that boarding school, she torment these kids. I mean, it's so funny. And I can't really speak about it because TikTok is so weird about a lot of things. Like, a lot of like my videos will get flagged and stuff like that. But like, she would have a roommate for like a week and they're out. As in, the roommates talked about, so when she gets to this boarding school, they give her the rules and regulation. It's an all girls school, Christian school. They give her rules and regulation, and the good thing was it was an actual Christian school. Like, they prayed. It wasn't like a Catholic school. It was like a Baptist, baby. It was one of them schools. So they gave her the rules and regulation of the school. The first week, her roommate goes up to the dean or the RA. A dean and an RA is like the head honcho. It's like a teacher that lives, so that's a dean. It's a teacher that lives in the dorm with the girls, and an RA is a student that they pick among the girls in the dorm that's going to kind of be like a leader. She's the one that's going to check the rooms and stuff like that. So when Lola moves in, they put her in a room with a girl. And this girl talks about how in the middle of the night, she would literally hear Ashley talking to people, and she would hear voices replying. This girl got so terrified, she would go straight up to the dean and be like, this girl does witchcraft. I mean, she would tell the dean everything, that they thought that this girl, her roommate, was lying. The roommate was telling the dean, I would rather sleep on the floor in our little living room area, than to stay in another room with this girl. Her dean was like, stop playing games with me. He's telling her roommate that, stop playing games with me, go to bed. But things got so bad that this girl called her parents, her roommate called her parents, bawling, shaking, saying that I have not had any peace since this girl has moved in. Besides that, she's like, my little girl tells her parents, so Lola's roommates, that since Lola moved in, that their room is a cemetery full of like spirits. That, every night at 3 o'clock on the dot, that she could feel like a presence come through the window and go straight to Ashley's bed, and Ashley will sit up like in a trance and like, hey, I've been waiting for y'all. And they'll have like full blown conversations. And because it's a boarding school, they're not allowed to have their phones. They have to turn in their phones at a certain time. It's not like homegirl could actually videotape or like be able to have any type of proof. But the next morning she told her parents, I've had it. She's like, where it got bad was because she was like, look, whatever she's doing. But the mere fact that these spirits are also starting to come to my bed, and, she's like, I felt somebody touching me. She's like, I can't. She's like, I'd rather get out of this school. The parents have a meeting with the principal. They're like, we don't know what this girl does. Rumor is she's a witch. We don't want our daughter being in the same room. They move Lola to different rooms, and everybody in each room, everybody she moves in with, has the exact same story, to the point where now she's only left with living with the RA. The RA, she kind of looks at herself like a gangster, like, this girl's not gonna push me around like she's pushed the other girls. And because, again, these schools won't kick people like this out, because this is another country where the parents paying this money means a lot to the school, so they don't want to lose the girl. So the RA takes the responsibility, tells the dean and the principal and everybody, don't worry, she's not going to be able to play games with me like this, yada, yada, yada. Because all along, they really feel as though, like, yeah, is this girl a little crazy? Yes. Is she a little cuckoo? But they look at it like maybe she lost her mom. Maybe it's just like a lot of mental problems. They don't really look at it like on a spiritual level. They have dealt with what she does at school, the weird things about her, but the RA just doesn't know that this girl is trouble. She moves in with the RA. The RA automatically gives her rules and regulations. She tells her that's your side of the room. This is my side of the room. The RA is a little older than her. At this time, Lola, I think it's like 13 or 14. I'm not sure, but I know it was like a couple months before her 15th birthday when she was supposed to go for her next meeting with that witch. The RA gives her the rules and regulation. The RA says, you know what, you were able to fool people, but you're not going to fool me, yada, 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 yada. Yeah, I just realized that I keep saying Ashley. Ashley is the mother that passed away. I mean Lola, the girl, the little girl. This is why I hate saying names, because I confuse myself. So Ashley is the mother that passed away. Lola is the little girl that is demonically oppressed. Anyways, so where was I at? Okay, so at this point, RA, RA's older, way older. Ashley moves in with her, and RA said that the first night she stayed in the room with that little girl, that Lola girl, that the same exact thing that everybody talked about was going on. But the RA was really trying not to say anything, because she's like, I'm the RA. I need to be able to, to hold things together. But the RA was so terrified. She said that, yes, it is 100% true that it is not just Ashley talking to herself. She's like, unless Ashley is that cray-cray, that when she talks, a different voice comes out of her. That the RA says that it was at least 6-7 people in that room speaking. They're having conversations, that there were times when she would wake up and she would see Ashley like in a trance, going around her bed chanting some stuff, and just so much stuff was going on. The RA was starting to look like the RA refused to tell anything to the dean. The dean would be like, how is Lola, how is the situation? And the RA would be like, fine. She didn't want to let anybody know that she's going through it, but the RA herself was literally grades dropping. She was starting to look like she was pale, like she was looking bad, like her own life was being sucked out of her. Things got worse for the RA, Lola as well. The RA, it's so sad, y'all. This is why I feel as though, like, y'all need to stop playing with witchcraft, man. Y'all need to stop playing with witchcraft. The RA one day goes to school, walking back to her dorm, just passes out. When she passes out, they get the girl, they take her to the hospital. Homegirl misses the remaining of the semester. So now Lola has her own room. And Lola's room becomes literally a cemetery, a bar full of like witches and warlocks that come to her room, demons and spirits, to where the girls' dorm is now known for hauntings. These girls are hearing doors slam in the middle of the night. Girls talk about when they're in the shower, they feel like they're being watched. Girls talk about when they're taking showers, they feel people tapping them. Like, we're not talking about one or two girls. This is where I think as though like this is like the enemy's plot of initiating these girls. I feel like all this was planned, right? Y'all, forgive me if I keep scratching. These braids are starting to itch. When you have braids, for y'all that don't know, when you have braids and your hair starts coming out, starts growing out, them braids, they're itchy. That's why you see me keep scratching my hair. But anyways, the girls' dorm really becomes a hunting, to where like a lot of the students start leaving the school. They're leaving either because of the hunting, and this dorm was full of women, full of girls. Like, we're talking about, because we're talking about like over 70-80 girls. It was a big old school, and girls are leaving because of the hunting. Some are leaving because they have no other choice. There are a lot of sicknesses going on. Some girls are starting to change as well. They're starting to become Lola. They're starting to get kicked out. Things are just not working out, to the point where the dean decides that she's going to have somebody come and pray for the school. The dean goes to her own pastor back in her village. She calls her pastor up to talk to the pastor. She tells the pastor everything that's going on. She tells the pastor that I think that the source of this problem is started when this girl moved in. Her name is Lola. We really don't know much about her other than her dad is super duper wealthy. Her mom died a weird death, but this girl has problems. The dean tells the pastor that we need you and your wife and a couple of the churchgoers to come and pray for this dorm. And the pastor's like, that's fine. All I need you to do is get permission from the rest of these girls' parents that they're okay with us coming to pray for the girls and the dorm. The dean gets in contact with each parent. Each parent, at this point, all the parents have already, some of these parents have no choice but to leave their kids there because they've already paid this high tuition that they're like, no, you're going to stay there. Ghost or not, demon or not, you're going to stay in that dorm. So the minute that the dean called and said, hey, you know, that talks to the parents, each of these kids that are left's parents, sorry, my daughter is asleep, if we can see her. But all the parents are like, yeah, definitely get that pastor to come in. They call Lola's dad. They're like, hey, we have a pastor that's going to come in to pray for the girls. Are you okay with it? Lola's dad is like, sure. But Lola's dad is like, if, you know, if there's a pastor that's going to be able to pray for my girl to where she can change, then, you know, the dad kind of looks at it like her daughter is a lost cause. He's like, I will be amazed if there is some sort of change in this girl. Y'all, the minute that the pastor stepped foot in that dorm, Lola started screaming. She locked herself in the room. As she locks herself in the room, the pastor starts praying. The pastor, his wife, and a couple of the churchgoers that came in start praying and oiling the house from the door. When they walked in, they start walking to like the little living area. They had the kitchen. As they're walking through, they hear the pastor is telling the dean, who is that girl that's screaming like that? The dean is like, that's that girl I was telling you about, that Lola girl. Lola is in her room screaming. As she's screaming, she's chanting, calling upon her spirits, her whatever it is. They go in each room and they're blessing each of the girls' rooms. When they reach to Lola's room, the pastor knocks on the door. And they say that the voice that came out of that little girl was not her voice. It was such a demonic roar. And the voice was like, leave, get out of my, of the dorm. And the pastor was like, no, I have the authority. I've been given permission to come here. I want to come in and bless this room. And we're talking about the deans, the churchgoers that came to pray, the pastor's wife, and some of the students that were there. They said that they could hear multiple voices in Lola's room at the same time. But this is nothing new to the girls. More so the pastors are like, yo, no, this is for real. Anyways, so the pastor's like, you're going to open this door. Lola is going crazy. They're hearing like chairs fly in the room. They can hear like papers fly. They're hearing like a commotion in that room. And we're talking about some of these desks that were in the room were like, what's the word I'm looking for? Like they were mounted to the floor. There's no way anybody of her size could pick that desk and throw it. But that's what was going on in the room. They're hearing glasses, like windows break, to the point where the pastor just starts praying, and the pastor commands the spirit that's in that girl to open the door. And because the authority, the Bible says, the authority that's in that pastor is stronger than the authority that's in Lola. Lola had no option but to open the door for the pastor. The minute Lola opens the door, the pastor starts praying. They're looking around. The dean is like scratching her head. She's like, how in the world did this girl pick this desk up? How in the world did this girl, like literally the ceiling, just things that are unexplainable. The scratches on her, on the roof, not the roof, but like the ceiling, things that just makes no sense. The pastor tells the dean, hey, unless, y'all are going to be praying, I would like for you and the rest of the girls to get out of here. The dean does exactly that. And they pray for this little girl for hours and hours and hours and hours. This little girl had so many demons in her, so many spirits in her. Like the pastor was like dripped in sweat when he was done praying for her. Finally, and Lola herself was exhausted from being, it was basically an exorcism. Can I say that word on TikTok? I don't know. But anyways, when Lola got up, she was so weak and so tired. They picked her up, they put her in another room on the bed. The pastor was like, I need to talk to the parents of this girl. He's like, I need to talk to them. They call Lola's dad, Lola's grandma. They come the next day. The pastor stays another day there. They come in and they talk to the parents, so the grandma and the dad, and they're like, they tell him what happened, what they saw. The dad is shocked. The dad at first didn't believe till they took him to that room and they showed the damage. That is like, of course, I'll pay for it. They're like, but they're like, you need to listen to this. So the pastor asks the dad, they're like, how did, how, basically, how did she come about? Like, what happened? He already knows the answer, but he's asking. And the husband's like, I don't know. The husband was like, it took years for us to have her, blah, blah, blah. He's like, but, now the husband's starting to tell, the pastor, like, what happened to the wife before she passed away, right? And that's when the pastor keeps his mouth quiet. And the pastor is just taking everything in, listening, as a good pastor does. You listen to when people are talking, you're taking things in. And that's when the pastor starts talking. The pastor starts telling the husband that when he was praying for that little girl and he was questioning the spirits within her, like how you got in this little girl, that because these spirits are under the authority, because these spirits are burning, they just start having like diarrhea of the mouth. They just start talking. These spirits start talking about how the mother summoned them, that Lola, the little kid, belongs to them, that the little kid came from them, basically. And that's when the pastor's like, what do you mean? And they basically tell the pastor how the mother went to see a witch. And that's how she came about. And so the pastor tells the husband everything. And the husband at first is like, the father is kind of like in shock and kind of like, and like has that unbelief that Ashley would never do that to me. But the mother, Ashley's mother, is like, no, it makes sense. And that's when Ashley's mom tells the pastor that, like, I'm a Catholic, but, growing up, if we had any issues, we would go to a certain witch doctor, da 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 da. She's like, even I have gone to see that same witch doctor for years and blah, 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 but I've never gone and asked her for something this great. The greater your goal or your dreams are to the enemy, the bigger the price is that you're going to pay for, basically. And the grandma was like, it makes a lot of sense why Ashley always seemed like she had something to tell me, but she was so fearful and so embarrassed to tell me. And how Ashley always said that, this is not my child. This is a demon or a spirit. Anyways, up to now, I mean, do I think that the dad believes? The dad saw what the little girl Lola did to the dorm, but it just kind of, when I heard the story, kind of came off like the dad was still like, I don't think my wife would ever go and see a witch doctor, yada yada yada. But they took Lola out of that school for the rest of the semester. The pastors put the daughter through real deliverance, like they every day praying for her, washing her, cleansing her, just because of not where she came from, because God created her. Sometimes we are born in unfortunate situation, but God created her. God predestined her. That was the God that's God's child, regardless. But it's in the way she came through. And they put her through a lot of that. And while she's going through all that, Lola, as the pastor, like the dad let the pastor basically take control of her. Basically, the wife of the pastor and the pastor raised her, Lola, for a couple years to, as the dad is supporting the church and supporting the pastor, just basically to get this little girl back on track. And the pastor also talks about how, like, for the first couple months, that while Lola was in that house, they would hear banging on the door. They would hear voices, like, this is like in Africa. So they would hear banging on the door, hearing voices saying, like, basically, give us back our child, give us back our child, give us back our child. But they didn't stop. They prayed for this little girl non-stop. And now today, Lola is a big woman of God, and she deals with a lot of like deliverance herself. She grew up to be saying Lola, y'all. Throughout this whole story, I kept confusing Ashley and Lola, because that's why I don't like giving names, because I get them confused. But I hope y'all were following along, and you know that Ashley was a mother and she was already gone. Lola is a girl. But now Lola is a powerful woman of God. She is really well known in her country for deliverance. Like, she is no joke. She talks about like how she can remember at such a young age, like in her room, just talking, spending time with real demons. She can remember astral projecting. She can, all that stuff. Like, it was so familiar to her. It was like home for her, you know? But the moral of this story, y'all, is stop playing with witchcraft. I mean, this is the whole point of why I have this platform. Stop playing with witchcraft. Number 2 is, whatever you give the enemy, he'll come back for. And God forbid it's something big, you're going to end up paying a big price for it. Like Ashley's mom, not Ashley's mom, like Ashley. Ashley paid a big price, and she paid it with her life. That's number 2. Number 3, nothing that the enemy will give you will come with longevity, will come with love, will come with protection. None of that. He always comes back for what he gives you. But everything God gives you comes with love, protection, longevity. God is so good. For y'all that go see witches, if you want to see power, real power, if you want to see the spiritual realm the legal way, because a lot of y'all that do witchcraft are tapping in the spiritual realm illegally and are going to end up opening doors that will haunt you and your generation to come. If you want to see real power, call on the name of God. The Holy Spirit will show you. You want to see real money? You want to see real love, real all that? Only God gives you that. Stop playing with witchcraft, y'all. Stop it. Stop it. Stop following these TikTokers that want to open your third eye or yada, 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 yada. Stop bringing yourself curses and maledictions in your life, in your kids' life. Because y'all are so greedy. Y'all don't want to pray. Y'all don't want to seek the Creator to give you guys your heart's desire. Because when God gives you something, God knows your heart. Not only will he give you your want, but your need. Not only will he give you your need, but your want. Stop playing with witchcraft. Today I'm going to post another video later on. So like I was saying, I have another video I'm going to post later on. But that video is going to be more so about like deliverance. It's poster boards that I made. It has a lot more to do. It's not a story time, but it's more so a lot of you guys have been asking me what to do when it comes to deliverance or when it comes to like fasting. And I have a poster board that I made. Just come back and see later on. And if I have enough time, there's another story that I'm going to tell you guys later on. I'm just a little too tired right now. I want to take a nap. But yeah, that was the story for this morning. Today is July 23rd, 2025. Yeah, have a wonderful one. Bye.